Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Space Museum. This was my first watch through of it. I'd never seen it before, and I'll start with episode 4 to kind of wrap up the episodic reviews, and then I'll talk about the whole story. Episode 4 was fine. I think just like parts 2 and 3. I think it was, the final phase, is that what it's called? It's fine. It wraps everything up. It is kind of a by-the-numbers story after episode 1, but the actors are fine. I like that Vicky helps the young boys, whatever they're called, start their little revolution, and that's all they needed was the weapons. You kind of get the impression they probably have the guard, the whatever they're called, the morons, basically. I forget what they're called, the Morlocks, whatever. Outnumbered. The other guys just had the guns. So now that they have the guns, they take over. It's fine. I love, again, Ian gets to be such a badass in this story. And he's like fighting people and holding people at gunpoint and talking, authoritative and assertive to people. I like when they're thawing the doctor out, how he manages to get the other gun away from the other guy. When he's turned, he's just, whoop, he's holding both the guns on him. Although when it cuts away and cuts back later, he's only got one gun again. I always wonder what happened to the other gun. It's like he's like, eh. I don't know why, but I nitpick at that. Where did the other gun go? Did he have it in his pocket for later? I don't know. And that's interesting. I like the fact that the other guys figured it was too late for the doctor. There's no way they could bring him back. And I think it's him being a Time Lord is probably what saved him. Like if he had been human, it probably would have been too late since he was frozen, but his body temperature was below freezing. But I think being a Time Lord is probably what saved him there. They were able to reverse the process and get him back to normal. I think it's interesting that of the TARDIS team, it's really Vicky that saves the day in the story because she's the one that helps incite the rebellion. She's the one that gets them access to the armory so they're able to have their revolution. Of all of the main characters, Vicky, I think, is the most important one. She's the one that does the actions that save them from that fate, as display pieces. And again, I think that's pretty interesting that we're talking, 1964, 1965 Doctor Who, and we are seeing, a female companion that's pretty much the reason they're saved. It's her actions more than anything that saved them. Because while Ian does get the Doctor out and rescue him, they get captured again because people sneak up behind him and knock him out. I do enjoy some of the dialogue in this. We don't get a lot of Barbara here, but she's still good. She's still kind of taking charge when she has to. I liked episode 4. I was kind of glad that the people in the white suits, the morons or whatever they're called, kind of got theirs. I still love their hairstyle. I live for their Widow's Peak Super Saiyan. Their Super Saiyan Widow's Peak. I live for that. I do kind of like the fact that they got thwarted, though. The main two, the kind of two in charge, I liked them. I thought they were acted really well. Especially the kind of second in command, the one that kind of runs the guard. Because when he's talking to the guards, he's like, well, luckily I'm here to keep y'all from the governor's wrath, or be glad that, you're not me. It's not worth the extra pay. But as soon as the governor's there, he's like, oh, my men are fools. Yeah. Why didn't you go get the cutting equipment like I told you to? Well, I don't want to hear it. Just go get it. It's like the guy was about to say you didn't tell me to. And he's like, don't say nothing. Just go get it. So it's like he sucks up to the boss when the boss is there. But when the boss isn't there, he's, y'all are lucky I'm between, y'all and him. Like he's on his security team's side. But he immediately turns on him when the governor. I like that because that's how some real people act. So I like that it has that, there's a little bit of character depth to him there. A little bit right there. That's a very real way some people act. And I like that. I still feel sorry for the one security guard. The one that Ian pretty much held at gunpoint for all of the 3rd episode. That poor guy. He just wants to get through his day. Especially right when when him and the governor are held at gunpoint, he's like, I want you to charge him and take his weapon. That's an order. And the guy tries to charge and Ian holds the gun on him and he's just like, I feel so bad for that guy. He almost gets arrested. And he's like, man, I just want to get paid and not die. Can't I just get paid and not die? Man, I'm just coming to work. It's just my job. Come on. And I'm pretty sure he still ends up getting killed. I didn't really notice which one it was where he got killed, but I'm sure he got killed. The poor guy. I feel really bad for that guard. He was just having a really, really, really crappy day at work. And of course, I like the ending shot teasing the chase. Nice to see the Daleks back. And I think this is the first time the Daleks can time travel. And the fact they can track the Doctor like that was a great little way to end the episode, to have everybody going, oh, the Daleks are back. That was pretty cool. I like that. And plus, ending on Exterminate, that was cool. Really get people hyped up for the chase when these were originally airing. The story as a whole is fine. I don't have any problems with it. It's far more enjoyable than the Web Planet, if not as ambitious past episode 1. It's good at 4 parts. I think that's what really helps this story, is that it is 4 parts. It's 6 parts it would have drugged, because episodes 2, 3, and 4 are very much just kind of run-of-the-mill, hide, fight, hide. And then, of course, you have an episode without the Doctor in it, but that's good because it utilizes the companions well in that episode. Well, Barbara's only in it a little, but she's good when she's there. But it does a lot with Ian and a lot with Vicky in episode 3. I think the main problem with this story, and I think the reason a lot of people don't care as much for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th episode, is not the fact that they're bad. Because I don't think they are, at least on first watch. Now, the rewatchability of this story, I don't know how strong that'll be, having seen it now. I don't know the second time I watch it if it'll keep my interest the way it did this first time. But I think its problem is simply the fact that the other episodes don't live up to the first episode. Because the first episode does a lot of really neat things, has a lot of really high concepts, has a lot of really neat ideas and things it introduces, to where it's up here with intrigue and making you wonder what's going on. And the other episodes are more down here. They never really live up to that. It turns into that run-of-the-mill thing. I think that hurts it. If episode 1 had started out the same way as episodes 2, 3, and 4, I think the story wouldn't catch as much flack for its later episodes. If episode 1 had just kind of started off with them stepping out of the TARDIS and having, to do all the running around, I don't think people would look at the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th episodes as much. But the fact that they're coming after this really good first episode that introduces a lot of really neat stuff and keeps you on the edge of your seat wondering what's going on. The other episodes just don't ever live up to that. But they're still fine on their own. I liked them. And I do love that the whole story has that looming threat of, we're going to end up in the display cases. We're going to end up in the display cases. And it boils down to, are we changing events to avoid that? Or are we doing what we did the first time and we're still going to end up in that? So it comes down to, is us in the display cases predetermined or not? Can you alter your fate here? Or no matter what we do, we're in the display cases. That's really at the core of this episode. And you see that especially in multiple scenes, but especially in that one scene when they first notice the Doctor's missing, when they get kind of crabby with each other, when they're squabbling in a way that these companions normally don't. Especially Ian and Barbara. They don't really snipe, gripe at each other. They don't really snap at each other. That's the word I'm looking for. And here they do bicker with each other a bit. And you can see the strain of, basically being embalmed and put up as a display piece. You can see that wearing on them and wondering if there's any way to avoid that fate, or if that's just their fate. It would make you grumpy and cranky. And again, those are realistically the way human beings would react in that situation. And I like that the story has characters reacting the way people really would react in this kind of story. So it's nice to kind of see some friction between the companions here a little bit. I enjoy when they get split up, like in episode 3, I think it is, and they're each having to do their own things. I enjoy Ian getting to do some fights and getting to be kind of the badass in this story. I like Vicky, helping the young boys start their revolution and take over and force these people off their planet, or basically kill all of them. You know, Vicky getting a lot to do. I love watching Vicky get to be clever like Zoe does later with the computers, because Vicky's from the future. So it's nice seeing Vicky get to really have an active part in the story that we never really got to see Susan do. I really enjoyed that. And then even the humor in the story, it has some, there are times I think this story can't quite make up its mind what it wants to be. I will say that. It doesn't quite know its identity, I think, because there are some humorous parts in this that almost make it a comedy, especially in episode 2 of the First Doctor. I love when he's being interrogated by the guy. He's like, how did you get here? And the doctor just makes that old bicycle appear on the screen. And he's sitting there doing that little laugh of his about it. No more questions? I love it. And he makes like the walruses. I'm not going to lie. That was giving me a really good chuckle. And when, you know, the boys kidnap the doctor and he's on the ground and we see him open his eye briefly so we know he's actually awake. He's just pretending to be knocked out. And the others leave. And when they come back, they just see their friend tied up. So the doctor, the old man First Doctor, you know, basically surprised him and tied him up and subdued him. I love that. I laughed when I saw that. That's just absolutely hilarious to me. And when the kid's explaining it, he's like, I don't know what happened. I got suddenly hit by a whirlwind. He was subdued so fast. It's always interesting to remember that the First Doctor can throw down physically when he needs to, like in the Romans when he took out the assassin trying to assassinate him. You know, it's easy to forget that. He's not just a thinker. He can engage in fisticuffs when he needs to. So I love that. And then, of course, him in the Dalek, when he was hiding in the Dalek, I pulled them all. That's funny. That's funny. Episode 2 has a really good mix of humor in it. So the story, in a way, can't quite make up its mind what it wants to do. But I still found it an enjoyable watch. I enjoyed the performances. I live for the Super Saiyan hair. Yes. I liked it. I think it would be if I'm ranking the season, it would be toward the bottom. But it's only because season 2 is a really strong season. If there's one thing I've learned this year in 2022, it's hard to believe that at the beginning of this year, I'd never seen any of season 2. I used to always talk about that. I'd never seen any of season 2. It's the only season I've never seen any of, other than clips. And then a lot of you guys have been really nice about sending stuff. Steve Knievel sent me, and I haven't seen Steven in a while. I hope he's doing all right. Steven, if you're watching, I hope you're doing all right. He sent me not just my first piece of fan mail, but my second piece of fan mail as well. And I believe it was season 2 stories. Like I think Planet of the Giants, and I forget what the other one was right off the top of my head. And Ryan Stevens, who I also haven't seen in a while and hope is doing well, sent some stuff from there from season 2 as well. I got a lot of DVDs in from season 2, like A Dalek Invasion of Earth and The Time Meddler. A lot of people have been really generous about sending DVDs in. So I've got to watch season 2 over the course of the year to where by the time the box set came out, I had seen 6 of the 9 stories. And now I've seen Crusade, and now I've seen Space Museum, so I only have The Chase to go. And it's such a strong season. It really is. One of the strongest seasons I've ever seen in Doctor Who. The only real dud to me has been The Web Planet. And then there's good ideas there. It's a very ambitious story. Very ambitious story. It's just the budget. The budget is what just kind of shoots it in the legs, feet, hands, everything. But it's a high concept. Other than that, I think I've enjoyed every story. And even The Web Planet has good things in it. It has a lot of bad things in it. The bad things are really bad, but it has some good things in it. But, you know, I love Planet of Giants. I really enjoyed the Dalek Invasion of Earth. I love The Rescue. I really like The Romans. It's hilarious. Once you realize The Romans is a comedy, it's great. I liked The Crusade a lot. Even with the recons for 2 and 4, I really enjoyed The Crusade. I like The Time Meddler. I enjoy the Space Museum. So really, the only one I didn't care for the whole season so far, having not watched The Chase yet, was The Web Planet, which still does some good things, just does a lot of bad things. So I'm really impressed with season 2. I'm looking forward to, after I watch The Chase, reviewing season 2, because it's a really strong season. Really strong. So it could be as much as I'm more of a Trouton person over a Hartnell person, it could be the strongest season for the 60s, I think. That's gonna be tough. If I start trying to rank 60 seasons, that'd be a hard video to do. Ooh. So I want to know what you think of the Space Museum, and what would you think of episodes 2, 3, and 4 if episode 1 just wasn't so good and introduced so many neat things that the others just couldn't live up to? If episode 1 had been more like 2, 3, and 4, do you think it would be more fondly thought of as a good but by the numbers Doctor Who story? Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to support what I do, as that does help me pay bills. I have a link to that down in the description below, several different tiers to choose from. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Stephen Crane, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their continued support as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review, as well as a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.